What's going on, everybody? Today we're talking about the semifinals of the NBA playoffs. All right. So check this out. So by a show of hands, not all at once, who all was disappointed in the way that the Boston Celtics played in this NBA playoffs? Not all at once, please. So listen, after coming off of a phenomenal year last year, listen, for those of you that don't know, the Boston Celtics were one game away from making it into the NBA Finals last year. Last year, they made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie Irving and without Gordon Hayward. As we know, the King of the East, former King of the East, LeBron James, beat this Boston Celtics group that didn't have Kyrie Irving, that didn't have a Gordon Hayward. That series, it went 7 games, but unfortunately the Celtics fell short. So being that they had such great success last year, everyone knew and everyone definitely had them as a shoo-in for the NBA Finals this year. Well, as we see here, as we look at this series of the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics, we see nothing but disappointments, nothing but surprises. But you have to tip your hats off to the Milwaukee Bucks. You have to give Milwaukee Bucks their props because Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's been balling. He averaged 28 points per game in this series. He averaged 11 rebounds and 5 assists. And not only did he average those numbers, but he also did it off of 52% shooting from the field and 41% shooting from the three-point line. That is amazing, especially considering that he is not a real threat behind that three-point line. But when he gets his feet set, watch out, man, watch out. And then you have Chris Middleton. He averaged 19 points per game. He averaged also 6 rebounds and 4 assists. He shot actually a real high clip from the three-point line. From the field, he shot 39% from the field, but from the three, he shot 47%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The only thing I do not like about Middleton is that he is I'm not gonna say he's a volume shooter, but he's a streaky shooter. When he's making it, he's making it. And then when he's missing it, he can't throw a brick into the ocean. Let's just be real. So honestly, the X factor for this series that I believe the Boston Celtics were not ready for, and the Milwaukee Bucks was waiting to come into the stage, to the forefront, was George Hill. We all know that George Hill has had numerous playoff experience. He's been in the playoffs a number of times in his career, playing for San Antonio Spurs, making it to the playoffs with them, making it to the playoffs with the Indiana Pacers and Paul George. So George Hill stepped up in this series. He scored 14 points per game. He averaged 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and all of that off of a 59% shooting from the field, which is phenomenal, and 47% from 3. Those are very clutch numbers for someone coming off of the bench. So, again, you have to give your props to Milwaukee Bucks. They are a long defensive team. And when I mean long, almost everyone on that team has an arm span of 10 feet. Let's just be real. You got Giannis, you got Brook Lopez, you got Chris Middleton, you got Eric Bledsoe and George Hill. Everybody's wingspan is just crazy. It's just crazy. So honestly, they could probably form a circle around the perimeter just by their hands touching one another. I maybe over-exaggerating just a little bit. But anyway, so as we look here on the other side, like I said at the beginning of this clip, at the beginning of this video, the Boston Celtics, they did disappoint. Which is surprising though when you look at the stats. The starting 5, everyone in the starting 5 averaged double digits. You can't say the same for Milwaukee Bucks, but again, the bench mob for the Milwaukee Bucks stepped up big for them in this series. Again, for the Boston Celtics, their starting 5, the whole starting 5 did average double digits in points, but Kyrie Irving leading the way. Yes, he did average 20 points per game. Yes, he did average 4 rebounds and also did average a high number of assists, 6 assists per game, which is actually not bad for this series. The only bad thing was Kyrie Irving shot 35% from the field and a horrible 21% from three-point range. And let's be honest, guys, we saw the miraculous things that Kyrie Irving has done in these playoffs, not this year, so to speak, but more so in years prior with LeBron over Golden State Warriors. And we've seen the superstar aspect, that superstar ability from Kyrie Irving, and we did not get that from him in this series, which is disappointing. But all the blame is not to go on Kyrie Irving. This Boston Celtics team did not shoot well at all together as a group. And not only that, but you have your former all-star, Gordon Hayward, who only averaged 7 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. And he shot 39% from the field and 33% from 3, which is not good at all. And you can tell throughout this year, for those of you that actually watch the entire NBA season or catch at least a good portion of the NBA season, you can tell that Gordon Hayward was never really comfortable with finding his knack on the offensive side. He could never really find his offensive rhythm on a very efficient clip. He could never really find it. He would have hit and miss type games where he would score 30 points here, he would score 25 points here, and then the next game he's dropping 7 points. So he was very inconsistent this season, and unfortunately his inconsistencies carried themselves into his inconsistent habits carried also into the playoffs. He did have a game or two where he played lights out versus the Milwaukee Bucks, but it was a game or two. So you hate to see that for Gordon Hayward after such a horrendous injury that he had last year. But unfortunately, it's just that's what happens throughout these NBA playoffs. That's what happens throughout this NBA season. So that's basically the summary of this Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics of the semifinals. We know that the Bucks will be facing the Toronto Raptors. So that will be a great series to watch. And so stay tuned. So thank you for tuning in. This quick summary of the NBA playoffs, of the semifinals version of the NBA playoffs.